Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Is that better? Yep. Okay. Well, hi. My name's Cal. I'll try to be brief. For those that don't know me, I'm standing for Division 2, just like Irene. And we've had a gutful of the last 4 years. It's safe to say that we could be doing a lot better. Now, for those that don't know me, I'm actually a Quandamooka Noonuckle Noogie person from Stratty. A lot of people call it Minjirribah, but there's another name for it, which is Tarangiri, which is the name for Stratty. Now, just getting into it, I have a background in retail, and I also have a background in media advertising for the last few years. I do have a diploma of business also, for those that want to know what my qualifications are. Now, I have done a fair bit for the community the last few years. I've had a lot to do with Shape for the Cure, as you can see, and I've also been in Crime Stoppers, so I hope any of you haven't done anything. Yeah, no, in all fairness, I've done a fair bit with Crime Stoppers, where we actually did some programs like Dobbin a Dealer, where we actively worked with the community to help crime prevention. Now, what people want to know is why I'm running. Now, I'm running because I'm really worried about the future of Toondah Harbour. I do think we need a development down there, but I don't think we need 3,600 units. As you can see, there's an artist's impression of how big the development's going to be. There's going to be massive traffic congestion, health-related risks could be potential from the acid sulfate dredging. There's also harmful impacts that could happen to our marine wildlife, koalas, and also the surrounding population. This is the scale of the before and after shot of the PDA. Now, I'm all for a port upgrade and ferry terminal, just like Irene, but I am not in favour of 3,600 units. You'll see that there's probably going to be a fair bit going out to Cassim Island. There's probably going to be about 10-storey high buildings. I know for a fact because I've met with the developer. A lot of people are telling me this could increase the cost of living in the area. One big issue we're campaigning on is rates. This could potentially blow rates out of the water, especially if we don't do much more about the Toondah issue. Now, 3,600 units will play a massive impact on where we stand already with rates. We're like the second highest on CPI levels, as you can see behind me. A lot of people here, I see a lot of familiar faces. A lot of people are not happy with this current proposal. As I've said, I just want to fix the port. I don't want 3,600 units down there. An alternative to all of this, I also want to see reinvestment back in the CBD. This is why the recent CBD initiatives failed. There was a lack of transparency and a lot of asset sales of our car parks. We also had a lot of shops closing. I've also spoken to a lot of shops, and some people even made some creative poems and graffiti just recently, just with regard to the sentiment in Cleveland. Now, I also, like Claire, would like to see the CBD rejuvenated, but I would also like to see a lot of funding going back to the Donald Simpson Centre as well. I think it's a damn shame that the Donald Simpson Centre lost about $50,000 to $100,000 in community grants recently. I've met with the Donald Simpson chair and the board, who were kind enough to show me the information. I also think the big issue, a lot of people might be a bit mixed on this, but I think we've got to put our foot down, is crime. Cleveland CBD could do a lot better off if we had some CCTV cameras down there. I believe that Wendy Bugleri explored this with Wellington Point. I think this could be a great initiative for Cleveland CBD. We do need the productivity to get going again in Cleveland. We need to be looking at all options to get it moving again. Now, Raby Bay. This is some of the footage that my friends and I and several people have discovered around Raby Bay that's been brought to our attention. Revetments. Now, right there where we're standing, that's a revetment that's caving in. There's bridges collapsing, like concrete that's well overdue for works. As I was saying before, car parking has been sold off. There's been Chef's Inc, Woolies car parks. There's been a lot of talk about the need for a multi-level car space, especially for our elderly and people with disabilities. And I hear a lot recently about the lack of attention to strategy. A lot of the roads you see up there, all up to Brown Lake and all around Dunwich, have been largely left out of the budget. There's only been 1 or 2 upgrades in the recent budgets announced for the road upgrades. Now, that's Alfred Martin Way. That's the road named after my great-grandfather. That's one of the main access points to the camping grounds from Dunwich. And it's just a matter of time before an accident's more likely to happen there if we don't do anything about it. Water management. I'm also really worried about water management on Stratty. I think it's a bit of a shame that council and state aren't doing enough to work with each other on the water issue. Now, this is Brown Lake. Some of you probably know it. This is Woman's Place in my culture from Stratty. A few years ago this was taken, this photo. This is where the water usually stops, and this is how far out, just about a few weeks ago, about a month ago, out how far the water's gone. Despite the weather we've had in the recent weeks, if we don't do anything about it and take the pressure off Stratty, we're going to have a really bad time in the next 5 to 10 years with our water supply. Some other alternatives a lot of locals are telling me is they would like to see a community garden on Stratty. We do need everyone to look at alternative ways of living, especially with the way things are going with the need for renewables. If I'm elected, now some people might find this a little controversial, but I do think that we do need to look at ways to boost incentives for renewables. Even on a council level, we need to do our fair share. All levels of government do. I think it's time we need to take climate change seriously and also look at issues like a Green New Deal and proposals we can all do to boost productivity as well. Anyway, I'm all for saving Toondah. I'm really thankful that everyone's had time to listen, and all the best with all the candidates and how everyone goes, and here's to democracy. So thanks everybody.